Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video on my favorite topic, SASE and Cisco Secure Access. So we just did a video just overviewing the console. This video is going to be how we import users into Cisco Secure Access. Now there's three ways to do this. It is connect to your IDP, which is Azure or Okta or other, which could be Duo. There is the manual upload, which is a CSV file, which is don't do that way. I mean, that's the end all be all. Like Hail Mary last ditch effort way, which is a manual import with a CSV file. And then there's the any or the AD connector, which is similar to Umbrella's AD connector, but you can't use the Umbrella connector and try to go directly to secure access. This AD connector is strictly for secure access, so you have to download this and then install it on your AD server. Now, that does mean that you have to now uninstall the Umbrella AD connector once this is done. If you're still in the process of migrating, I wouldn't just delete that because then Umbrella will, if you have policies based on groups and stuff like that, that will just cease to work. So let's go into this now. Remember, this is the D-Cloud version. Once I get the console, I'm going to go into a very deep, detailed way of doing this, or I'm going to show you an environment once I finish building it, and you'll see the value of secure access once I can show you everything. So this says 9 users. Remember, this is dcloud, so it's not really any users in here. So when we click here, it takes you to what I showed you before, which is the network connections. Again, this is very important. You need to have your backhaul or your resource connectors already for this to really take advantage of Cisco Secure Access. You can't really do this without having that in there. And then if we go to provision users and groups up here in the upper right-hand corner, this is where you're going to start putting your or importing your users. Now, again, you have two tabs, users and groups. If you connect to the IDP, it automatically pull that information. If you use the AD connector, it automatically pull that information. If you try to use the manual upload, which is, like I said, the Hail Mary, you need to make sure that's in that CSV file or it won't put it in there. Now, I want to get this out the way now and tell you flat out. Secure access is based on email addresses. It's not based on your traditional username and password. So if you go in there and you think you're going to type in, first name dot last name and that's it, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to use your email address, right? And there is one piece where this can trip you up if you integrate it with a certain piece of technology. It will trip you up if you do that. And I will tell you what that is on another video. But as you can see, it'll tell you if it's a VPN connected, it'll tell you the user, hey, are they connected via VPN? Are they connected or are they enrolled in ZTNA? And ZTNA, there's another gotcha in the ZTNA piece that I've not heard anybody say, but there is a gotcha in ZTNA that if you're not careful, you can run into a problem. And I'll tell you that in another video when I start going over ZTNA and stuff like that. So when you hit provision users, here is the three ways that I spoke about before, which is IDP, manual upload, which is a CSV, and then AD connector. If you hit the IDP, you select, obviously you got Azure and Okta and other, but let's say it's going to want me to hit Azure. Then once I hit Azure here, I got to hit this next. And then once I hit the next, I'm going to get rid of that. You got to copy all this information in here into your IDP, and then it'll sync and then pull those users down. And let's see here. Now we have the AD connector. So the AD connector, same thing as the AD connector, similar workflow as an Umbrella. But again, this AD connector connects directly to secure access. Now, here's the thing. In previous versions of secure access, it did not have the VA integration yet. Now it does. So if you're going to do the VA integration, which is the virtual appliances for DNS policies, now you can do that. The way you do that is you got to create an API key. And then once you create the API key and upload it there in secure access, then you can download the VAs. Once you download the VAs, now you can create your DNS policies. And there's a little trick in the security profiles that tells it if it's a DNS policy versus a web policy. And I'll explain that when we get into that as well. There's a lot of little caveats that you just need to know to make sure that you have this properly set up. If you don't have it, you might not have DNS policies working, or you might have a web policy not working correctly because you didn't configure the profiles correctly. So let's go to next. All right. And similar, you hit the domain controller, you give the host name, internal IP address, domain, and a site tag. Now, this is why you need to have the backhaul tunnels, because if you don't, if you have to put the internal IP address in here and you don't have a backhaul tunnel or a resource connector, I would say backhaul tunnel for this one, which is BGP, you know, virtual tunnel interface stuff that I showed you in the last video. I would have that set up so now it knows, hey, this is how you get to your AD, right? In secure access. Last but not least is the manual upload. So the manual upload is a CSV file. Now with this, it's going to allow me to mimic what the manual upload looks like. But you would download this CSV file, then you have to populate this. This is the headache method right here. If you want to have a migraine, you're going to do this method. If you have a lot of users, by the way. So you click here, you upload the template. Once you upload the template, this is what it ultimately looks like. User, email address. How did we get them in here? This says manual since we manually did it. Are they connected to a VPN, which is VPN as a service? And we'll get into that when we start configuring VPN as a service. And then ZTNA, are they enrolled in ZTNA? So what does it mean, are they enrolled in the ZTNA? Basically, do they have the ZTNA module in their secure client, and have they enrolled into whatever your IDP is for ZTNA? Now, you can do Duo or Azure in the ZTNA piece, and once we get to that piece, I will actually show you what that looks like. I'll use Azure since I've done it in Azure a couple of times. I've done it in Duo. I like the Azure method because it's pretty solid, but Duo is pretty solid as well. So either or. Right now, once they're enrolled in ZTNA, anything that you have, anything from a private resource standpoint that you configured for ZTNA, browser based or client based, they'll be able to get to without actually logging into a VPN. And the use case for that is, I mean, what do they really need access to, right? If they need access to a web server, do you want them to log in via RAVPN? Or you could just do ZTNA browser-based or client-based, and they can get direct access to it, obviously, once they sign in and identify themselves, right? You can do the same thing with RDP. Since RDP is not HTTPS or anything like that, that's going to be captured in Quick, and Quick is going to now tunnel that. Basically, that RDP traffic is going to be tunneled in Quick to get to the resource. And that's pretty cool. I've done it plenty of times. I just RDP from anywhere in the world. As long as I'm logged in or signed in via ZTNA module, I can pretty much RDP into any server I want to just by using the FQDN. And once we get the private resources, you'll see that as well. And then you got groups. So here's the groups that were manually imported in via that file. As you can see, it's 3 users there. Now, you can use these groups in your access policy under secure. And so again, just like Umbrella, where you can use AD groups to kind of dictate web policies, or now you can use that to do web policies and private resource policies, which is the inbound traffic, someone going to another resource, maybe in another data center, all that good stuff. Now, the one thing I did see in Cisco Secure Access that you don't see anywhere else is integration with TrustSec. So you can take your security group tags that you put in ICE, if you're doing TrustSec, you can actually share them in the Cisco Secure Access, and now you can also use those SGTs in your policies in Cisco Secure Access. So you can take your TrustSec whole setup, share that in the Secure Access, and then you can enforce policies on SGTs. So people can't escape your policy no matter what they do. And that's a good part. As you can see, I really like this technology, so I get very wind up about it. But this was a brief introduction into provisioning users. Now, there's a lot of other stuff that you can do here, but from a basic standpoint, you need to have those backhaul tunnels, and you need to have users provisioned before you can do anything in secure access. If you don't have those two set up, this is pretty much useless, right? So again, I hope this video was informative. If you are thinking about getting secure access in your environment, it's going to be a link in the description below for a discovery call. See what what you're thinking about. How can we get you from no secure access to secure access and SASE, just getting that all in play. if you are a Cisco sales rep that are, you're looking to kind of display the value and you want somebody to speak to it from a technical standpoint, I can help you with that as well. You get me in front of your client, I can definitely tell them the value of Cisco Secure Access, especially compared to other platforms, right? Because I know this one very, very well. In fact, I've worked with some Cisco engineers on the back end to fix certain things in documentation based on things that I found that was kind of wonky about secure access, and they fixed it. They put it in the documentation, fixed a lot of stuff there. So if you want to show, a potential client the benefit of Cisco Secure Access from an implementation deployment standpoint, link in the description. You send me an email as well. We can talk and see how I can help you there. So that was it. Hopefully this video is informative. This is Don from Padlock Technologies. Thank you and have a nice day.